That's crispy AF. Smoky, juicy, crispy. This method is going to help you make the best crispy skin smoked chicken wings you've ever had. So let's get smoking. Whenever I've smoked chicken wings in the past, I've usually not been very happy with the results for two reasons. If I try to go at a higher temperature, let's say 350, 400 to try to get crispy skin, then I don't get a lot of smoke flavor because the fire is burning so cleanly. And if I go the opposite direction and try to build a low and slow fire and smoke the chicken wings at around 225 to 250, I get a lot of smoke flavor, but the skin turns out kind of rubbery and it doesn't crisp up. So I started cruising the internet and looking for a solution, and I came across this article by J. Kenji Lopez Alt, where he found that the secret to getting a super juicy interior of the chicken wing and a super crispy exterior was to double fry them. So he fries them at a low temperature, almost confit, and then he freezes them, and then the second day he refries them again to get sort of a double fried crispy skin on the outside. So I thought about how could I adapt that recipe so that I could get all the things that I want when I'm smoking chicken wings. So my plan is to smoke these chicken wings at around 225 to 250 on the smoker until they get to around 165, 175 internal, and they get a lot of smoke flavor on the outside. And that's going to allow them time to render and get juicy inside and render all of the collagen. And then I'm going to freeze them, and the next day, or maybe even a week later when the Super Bowl happens, I can just take them out of the freezer on game day and pop them into the deep fryer. So the first thing I'm gonna do is apply some rub. I'm using this Smokin' Ghost rub that Pitmaster Barbecue Supply sent me. You can check out the link to his shop in the description section below. This is a really salty rub, which is perfect for chicken wings. A lot of my rubs are kind of more traditional barbecue rubs that have a lot of brown sugar and salt in them. But this has garlic and a lot of salt and other spices that really go well with chicken wings, so I thought I'd try it out. After the rub's applied, I'm going to line these chicken wings up on a wire rack. I like using a wire rack in the smoker because it means that I don't have to keep my smoker grates super clean. I can miss a couple of cleanings, and as long as I keep this thing clean, it can sit on top of the dirty grates, and I save myself a bit of time, which is important when you're smoking as much as I am because I'm doing it for a living. Now I'm lighting my Oklahoma Joes, and there's really no magic to this. I'm using my grill gun because this thing lights up a firebox in like 60 seconds, but I'm also giving it some help. I'll show you my firebox over here. It doesn't really matter how you arrange the wood in here. I just put a little bit of paper, I put a bunch of sticks, because our goal at this point is just to get a good fire going and burn all of this down into coals. I'm also using some tallow that isn't as clean as I would have liked it. I kind of fried this tallow and it has a little bit of a bitter flavor, so I just use it for throwing on the fire and getting some extra flavor and lighting the fire a little bit faster. So we're gonna use the old grill gun here. There we go. Kind of hard to do one-handed, but there we go. The fire has died down into coals, and the smoker is sitting at around 225 to 250. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to add a chunk or two every 20 minutes or so, and I'm gonna keep the coal bed strong and keep a little bit of smoke going through the smoker. But this is a small offset smoker, so it doesn't need a lot of wood, especially to maintain temperatures at 225 to 250. So we'll put two in, and then we'll come back in a bit. But right now I'm gonna put the chicken wings onto the Oklahoma Joes. Now you guys will notice that I'm running a large water pan here. This also helps immensely to maintain lower temperatures, especially on an offset smoker this small. One pro tip here, just move the camera a little bit. You see this gap here? You really want to make sure that you have a couple of inches from the firebox to where the water pan starts, because we want the heat to come up and then over and get the top of the chicken wings and then exit out the stack. We don't want this to block the heat and force it underneath, especially when you're cooking something like a brisket. That's really important. So just keep a couple inches here for the heat to come up, and use a big water pan, and you'll find that your fire management is a lot easier on a smaller offset smoker like this. Now after about 30 minutes, the wings are starting to look like this. I'll give you guys a close-up here. It's starting to dry out, which is on first glance a good thing, but it's not really a good thing, because with any skin, especially poultry skin, you need the water in order to properly render the fat and the collagen. And if you dry out the skin too quickly, especially with the super convective currents on offset smokers like this, you can get really tough and dry skin that's not crispy. It'll be really chewy and it just won't be very appetizing. So this is kind of counterintuitive, but you want to kind of spritz these down a little bit. And I'm using a mixture of water and Worcestershire sauce. And I'm just giving these guys a little spritz. And it's just to ensure that they have enough water to properly render the fat. These are sitting at about, let me get my thermopan here. These are sitting at about 130 right now, which is fine. We've got a bit of a ways to go. But so at this time, I'm just gonna flip them over. And once I flip them all over, we'll give them another spritz. And then we'll let them cook for probably another half an hour until they're done. Now, while we wait for the wings to finish, I'm going to make a super simple buffalo sauce on the Oklahoma Joes. I've got my cast iron skillet set up here on the top of the firebox, and I'm going to add 2 cups of Frank's Red Hot, the only type of hot sauce I use for buffalo wings, and I put this stuff on everything, as they say. Now, pro tip, the trick to getting really good buffalo sauce is you want to incorporate the butter and the hot sauce at a really slow temperature so that it comes up to temperature really slowly, and the butter and the hot sauce properly emulsify and blend together. If you get this super sizzling and you add really warm or liquid butter into it, you'll notice that it'll start separating. The fat and the water will start to separate at higher temperatures. So you want to put your hot sauce in first, and then you want to slowly add, in this case, frozen cubes of butter to the hot sauce. And we're going to slowly bring it up to temperature. We never really want to go above, I would say, 180 degrees Fahrenheit in this mixture, because otherwise it's going to start to separate. Okay, it's been another half an hour, and these are looking pretty good, actually. I'm liking the look of them. They look really, really smoky, so I'm just gonna give them a temp. Some of them are temping at 150. I mean, the ones closer to the firebox are probably a little bit hotter. 147. So I think these need maybe another 20 minutes, but what I'm gonna do is I'm going to flip them again, and I'm going to rotate the rack to help them cook a little bit more evenly for the last part of the cook. I'm gonna give them a bit of a spritz, and then I'll leave them in for 20 minutes to finish off. Okay, these chicken wings are done. They're looking super smoky. They've got a nice dark crust on the outside, and they're temping at around 165 to 170. So I'm gonna take them out right now and just put them in a plastic bag, and then they're gonna go in the freezer until they're frozen, and then I'll remove them and I will fry them in order to finish them. Now, you could also put these in the freezer until a future occasion. You could store these up to a couple of months if you wanted to. So that's kind of the benefit of this method, is that it breaks up the cooking time so that you can smoke these ahead of time and just fry them up on game day or some sort of family event, and you can speed up the cooking process quite a bit. Now, in his article, Kenji recommends cooking the wings in oil at 200 degrees for around 45 minutes to an hour. And he says that's the best way to get really tender wings. Now, he doesn't smoke his wings as a first step, so this might be overkill, but I wanted to test it out. So I placed a batch of wings straight in the freezer after smoking, and I took another batch and put them in oil to confit for 45 minutes at 200 degrees Fahrenheit in the oven. I then froze that batch, and I got ready to fry up the first batch that had only been smoked. After getting the canola oil up to 400 degrees on the stove, I carefully placed the wings in one at a time, and no more than 6 wings in the oil at a time. I found it really helped to leave lots of room in the pot for the oil to foam up and shield myself from splatter with the lid as I placed each wing in the oil. I then let the oil stop foaming, and I placed another wing in or two, and this ensured that I didn't get hot oil foaming all over and spilling over the edges of the pot. My recommendation would be to use a really deep pot, wear gloves, and have a fire extinguisher nearby just in case, or just skip all of that, get a deep fryer or maybe even an air fryer, although I'm not positive that an air fryer would give you the same results as frying in oil. Okay, the moment of truth. Let's try one of these out, and I'm gonna use one of my microphones so you guys can hear how crispy it is. Oh my God, I'm excited. Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. That's crispy AF. It's super crispy. It's actually the crispiest wing I've ever made in my life because I have never deep fried wings before. So this is kind of selling me on the merits of deep frying wings to get that extreme crispiness. It's also super smoky from that long, low, and slow smoke that we did at the beginning of the cook, and you can pick up on a lot of the smoke flavors. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I never eat wings like this. The only way that I eat wings is with buffalo sauce because I'm a huge hot wings fan. And I don't really eat wings any other way. I just wanted to do this on camera so you guys could see how crispy it is, but I'm gonna add some of my buffalo sauce to these wings because this is just so amazing when you add this buttery Frank's Red Hot hot sauce blend onto crispy chicken wings. Man, it's just, oh, so good. And I'll give this one a taste. This, guys, this is good. This is really good. Moving along, these are the wings that I put in the confit after I smoked them, and then I fried them to get a crispy exterior. So I'm wondering whether this is going to result in more juicy of a wing. Let's find out. Very crispy. More tender than the last one, but not as juicy as the last one. And I think the reason for that is it had a longer time in the confit at about 190 to 200 degrees internal in these chicken wings, and that allowed all of the collagen and the fat to break down a little bit better. So it's definitely more tender, it's more fall off the bone, but it's less juicy than the last wings that I tried because I went so high in temperature for such a long time with these wings, but they're very good. So after that taste test, my recommendation would be to smoke your chicken wings really low and slow up to around 165 to 175 internal. Freeze them, and then when you're ready to eat them, fry them up, and they'll be amazingly tender, crispy, and smoky. I liked the confit method as an additional step because I thought it might be like braising a chicken wing where it gets super, super tender as you braise it slowly over time, and it breaks down all the fat and the collagen, and the oil would allow me to do that and get those results without kind of dissolving all that bark and that smoke flavor that we worked so hard to build up. But it didn't really work out that way, and it was kind of just an additional step that didn't really add anything. So I would just stick with smoking them, freezing them, and frying them up. That is the best method I've found for crispy smoked chicken wings. But I'd like to hear from you guys in the comments if you like this method or if you have another super secret method for getting awesome smoky, crispy skin chicken wings. Let me know in the comments section. I'd love to try it out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy smoking, guys.